All right, we're testing it. If you could only see what my setup looks like right now, it's hilarious. I mean, using my computer to monitor stuff because the internet works well enough to consume content, but not to stream content. So I've got this ridiculous setup with my iPhone connected to a Focusrite iTrack dock so that it won't run out of battery and so that I can plug my mic into it. Let me know if the mic is actually working. You should be able to hear that. Okay, it seems like everything's running correctly, potentially. Not seeing anybody anywhere. Twitch is up. If you come in, let me know. Can't hear me. That sounds about right. Oh, it's coming out of one of your earbuds. Try this. Check. Check, check. See if it comes out of that one. It's probably only coming out of one of your buds now. Can anyone else hear it? The voice is very low. Okay. What about now? Can you hear anything? I may just have to. Nopes. Okay. All right. Hold it. Give me one more second here. Okay. It should just be the on phone audio. Let me know if it's actually working. The on phone audio. So I was hoping to be able to use my good mic, but I don't think that's gonna happen. This has just been a comedy of errors. I don't know what's happened to our internet. I'm gonna have to do a whole reset of the entire system. How are y'all doing this morning or this afternoon, whatever it is? Let me get this plugged in because the Streamlabs actually eats through this the battery. So like I said, I can see stuff using my internet connection, but anytime I broadcast, I've done some test streams this morning and it doesn't work. There's still significant drops. I love that I'm broadcasting. I don't even have a good signal in my bedroom through AT&T, but still that works, you know. Like, you know, it's a ridiculous amount of money you pay every month for your internet. Doesn't work. Okay. Okay, I can get this out of the way. It's just going to be phone. Sound quality won't be as good as this week. How does it sound, though? Is it sounding marginal? Always keeping me on my toes there. Where's the ceiling fan? There's no dust on my ceiling fan. What are you talking about? No dust at all. All right. Comedy of errors this weekend. Murphy's Law. Driving me crazy. Gyru from Periscope. Oh, Periscope's actually working now. Okay, cool. Good to know. If you're on Periscope before, I couldn't read anything that your people are writing. So that's cool to know. So yeah, the internet is. I don't remember. Actually, this phone is $90 a month for the internet. So that's actually not true. I think my internet's cheaper than my phone is. But we're paying off the iPhone 6. All right, I've got an essay for today. This is a Ford rant for the ages. So let's see if it actually works the way I was intending. Let me know if there's any hang-ups, but I'll be probably getting into the meat of today's essay, so I'll be tuning out as I read this. So the essay is called False Gods of the Gaps and Lost Potential in the Details. So God of the Gaps, basically it's an epithet coined by rational, scientific, materialist people about religious people, how we just want to paint over, and I'll include myself in that, we paint over the steps, so there's gaps there, and people are just like, God, Jesus, magic. Like, we just don't worry about what, we imagine that there's from A to B, there's just one step when there's like a bajillion crisscrossing steps. It's so much more complicated. So, talking about false gods of the gaps in our modern era, and then the devil in the details. So two kind of interesting yin yang, two sides of the same coin. The God of the gaps and the devil in the details. And if you don't pay attention to those details, then your devil's going to become your God. So that's kind of the idea here. False gods of the gaps and lost potential in the details. Gresham's law states that bad money drives out good. How can this be? The US dollar is the best brand in town when it comes to money, but it also is one of the worst monies ever concocted in the history of the world. A US $100 bill is an IOU written on paper that costs about 12 cents to make, probably a little more than the paper used by Harry and Lloyd and Dumb and Dumber for their IOUs. That's a car, $275,000. Might want to hang on to that one. But that $100 bill is worth decidedly less. 12 cents, think about that. That's the cost of production for a $100 bill, 12 cents. That $100 bill is worth decidedly less than the Roman silver denarius from 2,000 years ago. In what universe does progress mean dilution and devaluation? Clown world. You know who else devalued their currency? Nero in Rome. He put less and less silver in those denarii, and I'm sure that had nothing to do with the fall of Rome, because modern monetary theorists know, they got their God of the gaps, they know beyond a shadow of a doubt that faith is all you need to run an economy. I'm going to amend Gresham's law. Not only does bad money drive out good money, but in inefficient systems, bad value drives out good value. How can such a thing be possible? Look at the YouTube trending tab. Listen to mumble rap. Belle Delphine sold more fake bottles of Gamer Girl water, fake bottles, devalued bottles of Gamer Girl water, they weren't even real, than Friedrich Nietzsche was able to sell copies of Beyond Good and Evil. This book, in the intro, he talks about he was just trying to sell 300 copies of this when he wrote it. 300 copies. He sold less than 170 in his first printing. But Belle Delphine can bottle up some tap water and sell it to people and make tons of money. Bad value drives out good value in inefficient systems. The muck rises to the top in inefficient systems characterized by stagnation, bureaucracy, and rules of propriety, whether they come in the form of blasphemy laws on the one hand or politically correct speech codes on the other. A counterfeit wins when there are no built-in mechanisms that ensure positive feedback loops don't create abominations. The evolution of capitalism has ended up in a quagmire of evolutionary dead ends. The potentially limitless supply of surplus value by way of spontaneous order has been overcome by the ingrown Ouroboros of capitalism's most ambitious, self-interested critics and hucksters. Marx, Keynes, and U.S. presidents since the late 19th century have impatiently focused on short-sighted values. People are hurting. We have this new machine that can make people happy. Factories and capitalism. Let's use it. Work doesn't have to suck. People don't have to make sacrifices to get what they want. People should never suffer. In what era has that ever been true for human beings or any other animal species or any other species on the planet Earth? Work doesn't have to be hard. Life doesn't have to be hard. Capitalism invented pain and the disutility of labor. Dumb. This is the ideology of the Tower of Babel. This is the myth of Icarus. Human beings don't fly because we want to. There are laws of reality that bind humans to the earth. We only fly when we acknowledge these laws and learn how objects relate to one another. We only make programs, we only make progress when we get into the details of cause and effects. Plural. There's every cause, every action not only has an equal and opposite reaction, but has a ton of other ripple effects that may not be noticed at the beginning. If we paint over an action's effects, plural, or only look at one effect of the many effects any particular action has because we like that one effect in particular, that decision has ripple effects that may not become apparent until much later. Bad value drives out good value for a time, but gravity will have its way. Man, I'm covering them, sorry. Gravity will have its way. Rome will fall. The Twin Towers will crumble. It's not that there was something unethical about the economic ideas of Marx, Keynes, FDR, Hoover, Wilson, Bush, Clinton, or Bernanke. It's that their ideas are not real. They don't reflect reality. Just because something works for 100 years does not make it true. A skydiver is not flying because he manages to make it a mile laterally from where he jumped out of the plane. The plane is capitalism. But modern monetary theory works now. Keynesian economists and MMT proponents rule the modern economy. Yeah, and for some period of time, dinosaurs ruled the earth. We live in a social, economic, and political reality that functions like a name-it-claim-it theocracy. Belief in gods of human proportion to connect the dots and make ends meet. Stop waiting for false gods of the gaps. Make the connections yourself. Make the ends meet. In between cause and effect, between ideal and actualization is work, pain, frustration, Murphy's Law, and eureka. In the middle of all that pain, there's actually something to be found. Necessity is the mother of invention. You know why they want you to sit back and relax and enjoy? Because uncertainty and risk are the proving grounds where value is found. This week, a very interesting Twitter account, Evilist on Tradition, tweeted, Freemasonry was not satanic in the Middle Ages. Those beautiful cathedrals you see posted around here, they were built by Masons. Only when they stopped building, when they shifted from operative to speculative masonry in the 17th century, they became evil. This was a third eye opening moment for me. From operative to speculative. A pretty concise indictment of everything that has gone wrong in the political, economic, and social spheres in the Western world. That word speculative, I think that's the word I've been looking for probably since I went to India. I wrote an essay right when I got to India, and I was just like, the way we Westerners try to do things, whether, it's business people or diplomats or whatever. It was like something was driving me crazy when I first got to India and saw how Americans lived on the ground in India. I was like, this is just something. And then it made me look back at America and think, what are we missing? There's some problem here. I can't figure it out. Me and Judah, starting in reverse redaction and then carrying over into this podcast, we've been trying to put our finger on the root cause of clown world consumerism. I've called it disposable consumerism. We've augmented Moldbug's cathedral description with our own term, the California Christmas Cathedral. But I feel like I found the best two-word description to describe the root cause, in my opinion. I think it's economic. Metaphors are fine, and they are great to inspire, but our problem is scientific. An argument can be made that politics is downstream from culture in certain areas, and that culture can even be downstream from politics in other areas. But for over a decade, I've been trying to get at the real source. The source is economic. And the diagnosis of the irrational, hypocritical, alchemical heresy that has characterized modern economics that best identifies the root cause, in my opinion, both skewering the rampant, unchecked greed of Wall Street on the one hand and the well-meaning but illiterate philanthropy of interventionists on the other, is, in my opinion, speculative security. Our enemies, lords and ladies, is speculative security. Now, there's a book with this title, but it's more focused on anti-terrorism, the fight for physical security from violence and the threat of danger at the geopolitical level. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about security in the financial sense. According to Investopedia, securities can be broadly categorized into two distinct types:
equities, and debts. However, you will also see hybrid securities that combine elements of both equities and debts. That's the whole Big Short thing. They talk a lot about that there. Up is down, right is left, progress is excess, is regress, is success. Progress is everything but what it actually is in the real world, process. Call your debts secure. Bundle them up with your assets and speculate on them. Make a nice speedball cocktail of modern monetary methamphetamine. We want risk, reward, and relaxation all at the same time. We want uppers and downers and trad and chad all in the same package. But we'll abort it anyway because who wants the trouble of seeing an investment through? Speculative security. Who needs the real world when you can have it both ways? Safety and freedom without pain or risk or consequences. No hard edges, no skin knees, no bruises, no broken bones. Let Mario Kart Deluxe steer your cart for you. Imagine, if it fails, if you don't save, the false gods of the gaps will bail you out. Bank bailout, Social Security, corporate welfare, Lakitu picking you up if you fall off the track in Mario Kart. You won't skip a beat. Don't worry, there's always a safety net. Just let someone else worry about all that. This podcast, my online brand, is called The Surfing Violinist, an active dialectic. I'm convinced we get out of the kingdom of speculative security, having it both ways, by living an active life of having it both ways in two seemingly irreconcilable areas. I rattled off a list of these harmonious connections last week, and sometimes potentially contradictory or seemingly incongruous binomial pursuits. Hawaiian waterman, South African surfer, perfume nationalist, German intellectual, Austrian symphony, British homestead, Jewish hermeneutics, Scottish spirits, the surfing violinist. Pick your starting point. Choose your bespoke character. Don't live and die under the suffocating, sterile sentiment of speculative security. Live and die for something free and radical. The only way to be trad and chad is to embrace the paradox in real human action, not in passive, deferred, weak-ass, watered-down, effete, anemic, ectomorphic, virgin, speculative security. Look at Paul Krugman. Just look at a picture of the dude. Because in real incarnate action is where freedom and safety are going to overlap, not in political alchemy. Pills won't get us there. Ubic pastoralism, trad vidya, and chad capitalism will. Science is action, art is process. Not only is the devil in the details, but so is the promise, so is the adventure, so is the beauty mined from the horror. No more waiting for the false gods of the gaps. Let's get in the mud, in the blood, in the beer, in the swamp-ass sweat, and the aromatics elixir and find our eureka. There you go. My thoughts for the week. I'll go through some chat here. Hope everyone's well. Unfortunately, we don't have Judah here because I haven't figured out how to incorporate him on the mobile. Oh, man. This whole week has been like this. I don't know if any of you saw on Twitter. We're supposed to take a steeple off a church, ironically, this week. And everything broke. We rented this lift that was supposed to get us up to the things. We'd go in there and take the bolts out. And the lift wouldn't crank up. Golly. It was just like, hurry up, wait. This breaks, that breaks. Murphy's Law. Or is it Murphy's Law, or is it incompetence as infrastructure? Let's build our infrastructure on incompetence. Okay, let's see. I'll go back here. Yes, coffee would be good for listening to a Ford rant. Devil, okay, Heidel Stresskog. Devil was first angel. God booted him there, for God is a communist snowflake. Can I get a whoop whoop? That's an interesting take. I haven't heard that one before. In many places, salt is more valuable than any paper. Yeah. Food, water, air, that's the real treasure. Ask any military how to control the mass. Yep. If you look at Walmart, what they've done in America, well, and even now, but I mean, their reign is ending. They're getting more and more woke or whatever.
They're like always worried about whatever. I think once you get too big in our culture, you're just like a giant bullseye for everything. But you look at their infrastructure; they've always been very efficient. Like they almost work like a military in a war environment. It's pretty impressive how they've kept all their stores connected and their supply lines clear and efficient. I was really impressed with the power people, the electricians who came back and got Panama City's power back online after Hurricane Michael. I mean, they had, as far as the eye could see, they had these power trucks, these line trucks, and they were so efficient. There were certain areas we got power back in less than a day, or maybe a day and a half from the time a Category 5 hurricane hit us. It was really a sight to behold seeing them work. Less impressive was Comcast's manner of getting their services back online, and even less. I mean, obviously, there's a lot of work to be done in the housing, but housing industry has been affected in the same way, in my opinion, that education, healthcare, I don't know, name another inefficient industry, but the working in this whole industry, just seeing how we are not like the power line guys. Like those guys, they've got the infrastructure really down. So Gyro says, that's a problem that we ourselves are not connecting the dots. Somebody else is doing that for us, and we were thinking that's convenient. We were taking that connection as granted as our own. I'll probably keep saying this like over and over. So there's Nick Szabo, the inventor of BitGold, which was a precursor for Bitcoin, like 10 years before Bitcoin came out. He has famously said, trusted third parties are security holes. So when you trust someone else with your personal information, you're opening yourself up to potential hacks even more. So the less trusted third parties you have in your financial world, the more safe your money is. If you have a safe place to keep it, obviously. So I've been thinking about how trusted third parties are actually freedom holes. Probably not the best word to say. Autonomy holes or leaks. You can say it that way. We'll take the hole out of it. Trusted third parties are autonomy leaks. Because the more you have to depend on someone, the less capable you're going to be when that person's not in the equation anymore. So we're running into this real weird thing. Like Yang is complaining about automation and how it's taking away jobs. But what I'm finding is there's just tons of people who don't want to do the type of jobs like I've started working on now. It's like there's plenty of work to be done in certain areas. Machines aren't going to replace at the ground level, at the homestead level, most of this work. And it requires human beings to operate these machines. And the machines are breaking all the time, so you need people to service them. So yeah, there ain't no shortage of work at the homemaking level, the construction level. But at the same time, I kind of lost my train of thought there. Gyro was saying that's the problem, that we ourselves are not connecting the dots. That's basically that sometimes we keep deferring to our autonomy or our ability to get things done to machines, and that can be helpful. But the more complicated the machine gets, the less chance you require a specialist to fix it. So, for instance, on Friday when that lift broke down, all the guys there who had experience probably could have fixed it if it was purely just a diesel engine, but it has all these these machine elements, or well, electronic elements in it, like little mini computers and stuff like that. So you actually have to have a technician that's conversant with just that single model, you know. So your expertise doesn't really work. Like its expertise becomes proprietary to a certain point. So this is one of the problems with I would call it an evolutionary dead end of capitalism that we're in right now, where everything has become so proprietary that things don't play well together. And if something breaks, like what we're doing right now, I'm holding my phone instead of using this whole giant thing that took me 2 years to build, this computer that's actually better better to do this whole thing. So there's so many moving parts that if one part breaks, unless you're a specialist, you're kind of screwed. So it is hard to be autonomous in an age where, in a technocratic age, where specialists have made things and have kind of insinuated themselves into the middle of the process to make sure that they have job security. It's pretty hard to be fully autonomous in such a world. But I think there's little things that we can take back. So this is a very, very slow process. Like, I'm learning a lot at these jobs, but I mean, it's easy to make fun of people in their specialty until you start doing it yourself. Like, just these walls in America, all our walls are almost everywhere, at least at, middle class to even upper middle class, is drywall, sheetrock. And this stuff is made out of gypsum. It's garbage. I hate this stuff. It's basically like chalk. We build all our interior walls out of chalk. If this stuff looks at water, it starts manufacturing mold. You get any water damage, you're screwed. But putting this stuff together, like, drywall guys are like artisanal in their muscle control. Like, I'm an idiot when I try to do it. You have to get these 10-inch mudding knives, they call them. You put the mud over it, and every time I leave these giant lines in the mud, and it just looks like garbage. So it's not a simple thing. It's really easy to make fun of some of this stuff. It's like when you get down into the nitty gritty and you start realizing, oh, this is really inefficient. But I think that's part of what I'm talking about. The more that you get down and realize, like, technologically, we're way beyond this. We probably should be building our houses out of something better than this by now. But the gypsum lobby, they're probably pretty powerful, to be honest. GAC Limited, I'm forever part of this chat now. Thank you. Thanks for coming. Transparency is a controversial word, Heidel. And so I really did like this Peter Thiel podcast with, he's done two that I'm aware of. One with Dave Rubin a while back, and then this new one with Eric Weinstein pretty recently. And him and Weinstein, I think it was the Weinstein episode, Thiel, Weinstein's coming at it from a more communist socialist perspective, and Thiel's coming at it from a more capitalist perspective. Thomas, how you doing? Good to see you. Feel free to hang out, talking economics and all kinds of weird stuff. So, but Peter Thiel's saying, like, there's a tendency to want transparency for our government, which is good. We do need to know what they're doing behind closed doors. But at a certain point, there are certain things you can't let everything all hang out, or it leaves you open to attack. And that kind of gets back to what Nick Sabo was saying about trusted third parties or security holes. If you just let everyone know your game plan all the time, then bad guys can come in, and there are bad guys, like bad guys on our side, bad guys on their side. So you gotta try to worry about the barbarian within and the attacker from without. So there are people who want to see certain systems totally crumble from top to bottom. And so, yeah, transparency is not only a controversial word. I mean, it can be dangerous if you just apply it willy-nilly, which is, I've always, been more on the guilty side of that, just letting everything hang out on the internet. Hey, Vishnu, good to see you. Oh, I like the symbols there. So he's got one of the, almost like a stock-looking graph. So I wrote a portion of an essay kind of talking about how we have made everything about that upwardly trending line. We're a very one-dimensional society that is looking at everything. It's going to grow. We're going to grow. I don't care what industry you get involved in or what thing you become a part of. Everything's about growing. We're going to the moon. And it's just this narrow, one-dimensional way of looking, of reducing everything in our human experience down. But kind of what I was saying earlier, the problem I have with that is every action not only has a reaction in the sphere that you're interested in, it has ripple effects across other spheres and across other areas. So, you can do a shortcut that puts you higher on that trending line, but then 20 years later you find out, oh, this was a counterfeit move. This person lied. There was insider trading. And it worked for you, but someone else gets screwed later on. More like, Gyro says, more like translucency, and that too is an optical illusion. Interesting. Human trafficking still maintains a profitable margin projected for the next 6 years. Chewing gum to Singapore is another option. Wow, dude, you are next level. Sick Regal says, what's that anti-terrorism book called again? The same words that I was using, speculative security. Speculative security. I think it would be an interesting book to look into. They're talking about it from a geopolitical perspective. I'm talking about it more from an individual perspective and an investing perspective, because the word security, it's just such an irony to me that high risk bets, high risk investments are called securities. That's interesting to me. So really it goes back to Evilist on Trad, the Twitter account, him bringing up how Masons went from practical boots on the ground, hands in the mortar operation to this speculative, religious, weird, esoteric thing. And I'm all about the esoteric stuff. Isaac Newton, I think it was Newton, one of those guys was like almost a full-blown alchemist. Like, I'm fine with like digging down and figuring out new possible weird ideas and stuff like that. But you got to keep your feet on the ground, or else you're gonna drift away into this ivory tower stuff that ends up making people at the ground level pay. That's kind of the whole idea here. Prevention maintenance is key, Ford, from Heidel. Prevention maintenance. Yeah. Yep. And that is one of my biggest failures, I would say. I had an interesting story from my truck breaking down last week that I'll probably share. I've videoed most of it, so you get to see. Yeah, I agree. And this is one of the areas where I do agree with Jordan B. Peterson, that he talks about how Alexander Solzhenitsyn just basically took on the sins of the world, in a sense. He just said, I am here because I was complicit in a system that puts people into gulags. So rather than just blaming the system, he tries to actually do something about it. And that weird dream I had last week about my grandmother almost tripping on the trash in the house, I think I felt a lot of that this last week, where if I'd have been better organized, if I'd had things better, instead of just letting kipple build up, instead of just letting the inertia of decay build up, that I probably would have been in a better situation. Garbage management and disposable inefficient industry from Gyro. Yeah, garbage management, disposable inefficient industry. It's just replaceable, There's just it's reactive. I don't know. In a way, like a lot of things I'm complaining about at the corporate level or the national level, the political level, the big business level is a problem in my own life. My room is a mess, and I think there's this impulse to just keep moving forward as fast as possible. And I think, and Judah's been hinting at this, been saying, at a certain point you do have to cut back on something, or else you're just juggling a bajillion different things. And I think the end goal for me as a surfing violinist is to become more like competent across multiple fields, like a modern Renaissance man. But in order to get to that point, you really have to kind of hone in and get your crap sorted out in the meantime, so that you're not choked by the kipple, choked by all the stuff building up, all the junk and all the inefficiency in your own personal industry. Like having the economy of movement that they talk about in kitchens. Having a real good setup so that you're not always looking for a certain tool. As Judah's dad said, a place for everything and everything in its place. Yeah, and so Judah brings up reverse redaction. We can't find anyone to work at our engine repair shop. No one reliable, at least. And that's happened. I've noticed that a lot here, working in the local tourism industry with the boats, and then working in construction and restoration. Like, there are a lot of good people, but when they get into a work scenario, they're just kind of, they just kind of slack, you know. But here's the thing I've noticed, and this is why Marx is still compelling to a lot of people, why communism still feels compelling, because these systems are so inefficient and worker morale is so crappy. Like not work ethic. I'm talking about worker morale. Like one person is told, "Hey, you need to go do this." So the person's like, "Okay, I go to do this." And then someone else, like another middle management person, "Why are you doing that, you idiot?" It's like, "Well, someone don't talk, just do this. I told you to do this." No, this other guy told me to do this. She's like, "Why would you do that, idiot?" And so it's almost like a lot of this lax attitude in the working class comes from really bad management. I've just seen this in every single industry I've been a part of. Really bad management. And people start actively, it's like that whole meme that was happening with the people licking the ice cream or whatever. It's like people start doing that kind of stuff because they're getting treated like garbage, like actual slaves. Like, I want you to do this. It's like, oh no, you didn't actually have to do that. So that's why, if we want things to get better, we have to be much more efficient in our organization, our infrastructure. And that happens at the ground level too. And so trying to figure that out, have not been efficient with my own infrastructure. And that's why I'm holding a phone right now. One giant EMP, then we need grandpa help again. Yep, that's exactly right. Heidel. All I have, one electromagnetic pulse, and where would we be? Like if you were like on a desert island, castaway sort of scenario, could you build things back up from the ground up? All right, good to see you, Heidel. Thank you for stopping by. Did I leave the grandma story out of the Audible podcast? Did I? Well, I didn't think I did I? I'll check that. Maybe I did. Why am I not regularly posting vlogs? I don't have time. I have a full-time job, and it's very physically demanding and tiring, so I get home, I'm just ready to sleep. Will I return to India by any chance? Not soon, but someday, hopefully. Why didn't I make Bollywood full-time? It's because it didn't pay. It was takes too long to work your way in. Any other thoughts anyone wants to discuss today? We will be moving. We're in the process of moving. That's one of the reasons why everything is more messy than even normal messy. We're basically, all my free time is spent trying to get that trailer ready to be moved in. The homeowner got the floors put in on Satya's room today, so we will be making the transition soon. So I'm not sure. I may actually rent this space for my mom and keep my office here if I can sort out this internet problem, because I think it would kind of be nice to have a little spot where I could come just work on stuff. But we haven't really talked that out. And then, so we were supposed to be moved in at the beginning of August, and it's August 11th, and we still haven't gotten over there. So let's put just a whole muck in the works. Yes, I can see you, Vishnu. So Facebook does come through. I think it's pretty much good. My opinions on gun laws are irrelevant. I don't own a gun, but I don't want to talk about it. No, that's not. The gun lobby is not so strong. It's individuals who. I've worked enough in the country now to. Whoa. Sorry for dropping. I've worked enough in the country now. I was doing a roof tarp over east of here, and we were doing target practice of the next property over. I was like, wow, is that like every day? Like, oh yeah, it's every day. What are you talking about? My father-in-law's got a 50 cal. You should hear that one. It sounds like a freaking cannon. Yeah, I think everything that need to have been said about the Epstein suicide's probably been said by somebody. Very convenient, the whole situation. Yeah, sorry about dropping the camera there. So I think that's about it for this week. We're in the middle of a bunch of stuff. I will be doing some more random broadcasts, maybe like last night, the violin gigs. So I want to get back into doing some more music stuff, broadcasting it. So it was kind of fun. Sebastian, one of the friends, not just the channel, but in real life, I played a lot of League of Legends with Sebastian. He saw that I was playing at Los Antitos and actually came over. So that was kind of fun. That was the first time that's happened. So for those of you not in the area, though, if you'd like to hear a song cover when I'm doing something like that, that's kind of a fun way to do it. I do feel safe for my kids. I don't feel at all like, the only reason y'all know about it is because our media reports on this crap nonstop. Like, there's like more people die from random acts of gun violence, or here. Let me just try it. Okay, it's 2012 figures. I mean, these numbers just don't change, y'all. I mean, back in 1965, with a much smaller population, the U.S. had 8,000 murder victims total. 1970, 13,000. 1975, 18,000. 2012, 12,000. Like, 1995 was the peak. It was up to 20,000. I didn't hear anybody complaining, like, about Bill Clinton at that point. Oh, man, what's Bill Clinton doing about reducing violent crime? I'm sure people were complaining about it. The only thing people do ever is complain. Guns have consistently been at just under 70% of violent crime. There were 1,500 stabbings. There were 1,500 stabbings in 2012. In a year, okay. For some reason, all we ever hear about is mass shootings, as if they're the only type of death that happens, and they are the smallest percentage of deaths. There have been at least 17 deadly mass shootings. You know what there haven't been in the last 30 years, less and less? Serial killers. Someone pointed that out. I was like, oh yeah, that's weird. You know, we're all watching Mindhunter and Hannibal and all this stuff now, but it's kind of like a thing of the past. I mean, it still happens, but surveillance has gotten so good, it's hard to be a serial killer. So increases, so that's one like good thing. You know, again, we're talking about transparency. That's like one positive benefit is there are less serial killers. But what that does is you get that problem sorted out, and then all of a sudden, crazy people start killing people in mass. There have been at least 17 mass shootings. When you calculate the numbers, guys, it's a disproportionate concern. So I don't worry about it at all. I've never thought about it. Like when Columbine happened, the only thing that when I was in high school, when Columbine happened, I started profiling white dudes. I was like, I was like stereotyping. I was like, is that guy? Could that guy be one? Could that guy be one? My dad, he was a former criminal, and he has this ability because of his time on the run and, you know, away from the law and everything. He has this ability. It's like Matt Damon. Like he'll see stuff that most of us will. He's like, that guy's a cop. That guy you gotta watch out for. Like he's always checking the doors. It's like this whole, again, the trusted third parties are freedom and security leaks. If you're always expecting the government to do the work for you or somebody else protect you, like nothing is written in stone. Nothing is promised. We come from a history of animals eating each other for sport. Ooh, animals only kill each other for food. Not true. That cat right there, it's a killing machine. Oh, it's so cute. Cats are so cute. Yeah, they just kill a mouse and they'll play with it. Like they learned that from humans. Come on, please. Like death is the one certainty. The one certainty is death. One. So no, I'm not scared of death. I wasn't scared of death when I was in India. The Americans were like, oh, you're going to die from this. You're going to die from this. You die from, oh man, it's so dirty. Blah, blah, blah. I mean, isn't it annoying when people have all those stereotypes about India?
It's stupid. It's such a dumb way to live. We only talk about bad news all the time. God. I'm not angry at you. I'm just angry at just how stupid our media has become. When you look at these numbers, it's insane. In 1990, there were 20. Let's see, what year? 1994. 22,000 people died, murder victims in the United States. 2012, it was down to 12. I don't know what it is in the last. So, murder victims count. They're always behind on these things, I feel like. They're like 2 years behind. So let's see what 2018. See, they don't talk about it. They only talk about specific places. U.S. Murder rates in U.S. cities. Let's see what FBI says. Oh my gosh. Look at this whole freaking abstract. Can you just tell me the number? Homicide. Data section. Yeah, they're not giving me like a total number. Oh, wait, okay. Oh, okay, here we go. 2017. So this is probably the most recent we can get that's all tallied and counted up. 15,000 murder victims in 2017. So, when their population was smaller in 1980, like the year before I was born, is 21,000. So it has gone down, not just in percentage terms, but in actual terms. Like, we're doing better. So why are we talking about it more? Golly, I hate the way that they just blow everything out of proportion and are trying. It's just like, it's like negative propaganda. Anyways, all right. I'm gonna go.
Oh, hello.
That's probably about it for now. So Godspeed to everyone. Thanks for tuning in. And I'll get you the podcast out probably a little bit late this week for, everyone. So until I'll hopefully have this stuff sorted out. If not, I'll probably just be broadcasting from the phone, sort of similar to this. I'll see if I figure out a way to get Judah back on. Or maybe I'll broadcast from another setup. I don't know. We'll see. Negative news sales. Yep, this is true. Shout out to Gautam Bhatterjee. Bhattacharjee. Shout out, Gautam. Hope you have a good one. All right, until next time, keep it creative, cross-cultural.